Hello, everybody. Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
With the lecture.
Okay, yes. So last time I defined field of quotients. So what was field of quotients? That if you have an integral domain, let me just give you the recall of the field of quotients. So what we had, the statement of this, let D be an integral domain, then there exists a field F called the field of quotients of D that contains a subring isomorphic to D, right? So this is the statement. This was the statement of this result which we proved, and I told you that what is the benefit of this, or what is the usage of or application of this result is that you have an integral domain, then you can always use it to construct another field. That's why integral domains hold a very important part in our as algebraic structures, because they can always be used to construct a field. Because the you can say what is there which is stopping an integral domain to be a field is the existence of multiplicative inverses. Rest all the properties are there with integral domain, because it is a commutative ring with unity. So if every element, every non-zero element starts having its multiplicative inverse, it will turn a field. But suppose we have an integral domain which is not a field, but it can be used to construct another field, and that field is known as field of quotients. So we did the proof of this, and in this we had the examples. So the first example we can have is Q is the field of quotients of Z. Z we know is integral domain, the ring of integers. It is not a field. So, but if we construct its field of quotients, so how we are going to construct field of quotients of Z? So, if you remember the definition, how this field of quotients is constructed, this basically contains elements A by B, where B is non-zero, and both A and B obviously are elements of your integral domain. So same is here. We know how Q is defined. It is P by Q. Q is non-zero. Both P and Q belongs to integers. So you can say the definition is similar. So this is a general definition for any field of quotients. This is for particularly Q. So the set of rationals is a field of quotients of Z. Similarly, you can have other examples also, that if I take this as a ring, so which is this?
मैम
Yes.
इस जो आपने फील्ड ऑफ क्वोशंट का प्रूफ करा रहे थे उसमें एफ इज अ फील्ड के बाद आप कह रहे थे कि ये जो डेट कंटेन्स अ सबरिंग आइसोमॉर्फिक टू डी, ये वाला पोर्शन रह रखा था मैम शायद.
Okay, yeah, okay, what I'll do is this part I'll give it as an exercise. वो बहुत आसान है. I'll make the assignment of homomorphism. तो उसमें ये वाला जो part है, this is actually a exercise I'll put up there, so you try that yourself, और हम tute में discuss कर लेंगे. I am telling you actually why I am doing it in very brief, this topic field of quotients, because you know our main topic is ring theory. उसके बाद फील्ड्स का एक्सप्लिसिटली स्टार्टिंग होगा जब हम रिंग थ्योरी के कॉन्सेप्ट्स कर लेंगे. और इस फील्ड ऑफ क्वेश्चंस को और डिटेल में समझने के लिए वी नीड सम मोर रिजल्ट्स. That is why here I'll be just giving you this definition. Okay, we have already done the proof and some part we'll do in exercise and some examples. After that, we'll continue with the concept of ring isomorphisms and homomorphisms. This field of quotients will be mainly, you can say, used when we will be starting studying field theory. So because वहां पे फिर से मुझे ये explain करना पड़ेगा, so I will take that in detail there. यहाँ से हमें समझ आ गया क्योंकि रिंग से कनेक्टेड था, राइट, कि इंटीग्रल डोमेन से फील्ड हम कैसे कंस्ट्रक्ट कर सकते हैं, बट उसकी जो प्रॉपर्टीज हैं, उससे जो फील्ड्स की डिफरेंट डिफरेंट एग्जांपल्स, इट्स वेरी वास्ट, so that part will come later. So right now I'm just giving you few examples for the same. Okay, so say zx is your the ring. So zx we know is integral domain, the set of polynomials over integers. So using this also we can construct a field of quotients of zx. For every integral domain you can construct a field of quotients. This is what the theorem is telling you. This is something extra, that then field is going to contain a subring which is going to isomorphic to D, right? So that part will come later, and that is also actually connected with the more results in field theory. So वो बाद में भी कर सकते हैं, but I'll give that as an exercise. We can treat it like isomorphism, the topic under ring isomorphism. Okay, so how this field will look like? Yes. Can anybody define this? How field of quotients of Zx is going to look like?
Ma'am, fx upon gx, where fx and gx belong to zx, and gx is not a zero polynomial.
Yes. So you got the standard definition. वही definition हमेशा यूज होने कि आपको quotient बना देना है, denominator should be non-zero, and जो दोनों elements हैं numerator and denominator वो आपकी main जो ring है integral domain है वहां से belong करने चाहिए. So we know that that is how we construct rational functions. You know, in real analysis you have the definition. Everybody knows what does a polynomial look like, and then we have the functions like x by x square plus 1. So this is a rational function. So this word rational actually comes from because it is defined in a similar way, the way we define rational numbers, the ratio of two integers. So the ratio of two polynomials over integers gives you a rational function. So you can say the field of quotients of zx is nothing but the set containing all rational functions. So they are not known as rational polynomials, they are rational functions, but the denominator should be non-zero. Yes, so that is going to be the field of quotients of zx. Now, another I think that is enough for the field of quotients. This way you just at least know that how we can construct a field using an integral domain, and that field is field of quotients, and that field contains the integral domain, the isomorphic image of the integral domain. Okay, so now I'm going to go with the you can say the same topic, which is the chapter, ongoing chapter, ring homomorphism. Because that result of field of quotients was connected with this, so that's why it came in between. But now we'll do few more questions related to homomorphism and isomorphism, and then we'll wind up this chapter. So already defined homomorphism and isomorphism. So now we'll do few examples of the same. Okay, so the question which we are going to answer is 2z isomorphic to 3z? So this is a question. Think about it, and then I'm going to answer this one. Is 2z isomorphic to 3z? What do you think? You understand the meaning of the word isomorphism? This is a symbol of isomorphism. What do you mean by isomorphism? So the two rings are said to be, if I'm going to give you the definition, two rings are said to be isomorphic to each other if there exists an isomorphism map between them. That is, R is going to be isomorphic to S if there exists phi from R to S such that phi is homomorphism, phi is bijective, means 1 1 and onto. So that is what the definition of isomorphism. It should be a homomorphism and it should be 1 1 and onto map. So if that kind of map you are able to find between any two rings, we say those two rings are isomorphic to each other. So we are now going to answer few examples, their properties about isomorphism between them. Okay, so tell me, is 2z isomorphic to 3z? What do you think? Any idea or any guess? Yes? Yes, Divya? Do we have Divya?
मैम it will not be because जो हमारा theorem था R by kernel of phi is isomorphic to this thing.
Okay, let me.
मैम उससे Z2 आ जाएगा और Z3 आ जाएगा और दोनों में number of elements different होते हैं.
Sorry, I didn't get
Ma'am,
your.
Z upon 2Z will be if 2Z is isomorphic to 3Z, so then Z upon 2Z is isomorphic to Z by 3Z.
Hmm.
So it gives us Z2 is isomorphic to Z3, which is not possible because Z2 has 2 elements, Z3 has 3 elements.
Okay. Yeah, that is a right explanation. That is one of the right explanation. You can use that result. Okay, thank you. Anybody thinking to justify it some other way? So actually, I'm going to tell you a very general way which you can apply to any question, because यहाँ तो एक specific example है, you can think about it. But suppose any general two some rings are given to you, some random, then how to check whether there exists isomorphism or whether they are isomorphic to each other. So if you want to show they are isomorphic, then you establish a map which is isomorphic. If you want to disprove it, suppose you have an idea that they are not isomorphic, then you have to show by contradiction. Means that's what the usual procedure is, that we will suppose there exists isomorphism and then we will arrive at a contradiction. So I'm just want to giving you that technique which will work for other examples also. So suppose there exists phi from 2z to 3z defined by, right? Now, how do the elements of 2z looks like? So they looks like 2 times some element, because every number is even integer, so it will be of the form some 2x. And 3z, how the elements of 3z is going to be some multiple of 3, right? So whatever is x, whatever is k, let's not bother about it. It's just some integer will be mapped to some integer, some multiple of 2 will be mapped to some multiple of 3, where these x and k are going to be integers, right? Because the generally map is going to be this type. So if you take phi 2x plus 2y, so this is going to be 3k plus 3s, because I'm now checking the properties of homomorphism. So this is this. And if you take phi 2x into 2y, this is phi 2x into phi 2y. So this is 3k into 3s, which is 9 times ks. Now, particularly if you take x and y same, say both of them are 1. Okay, because disprove करने के लिए we just need to generate one counter example. So I'm just taking one. You can try with other example also if it works for you. So if I put x equals to y equals to 1, what happens? Phi 2 plus 2, this property number 1. Phi 2 plus 2 becomes 3k plus 3k, right? K can be anything. I do not know what is its value. It can be anything, but because I just know that it's a multiple of 3, so whatever it is. Say it's 2 plus 2 is 3k plus 3k. Now why I have taken 3k plus 3k? Because I'm taking x and y are same, so their images are going to be same. What you can do is change this one to let some other number k1, because you don't get confused that this I cannot take this same as k. So if I'm taking it 1, so let's take the image to be same. So this is 6k1. It implies phi of 4 is 6 times k1. Is that clear to everyone? And second equation will be 2 into 2 on putting x equals to y is equal to 1. So it is 9 times k1 into k1, because I'm taking both are same. So it's 9 k1 square. So now if you look at this is also 5 4, because 2 into 2 is also 4, 9 k1 square. So therefore 6 k1 is same as 9 k1 square, because both are images of the element 4. So 6 k1 is 9 k1 square. Yes. So what are the possible solutions?
0.
Yes, k1 is 0 or k1 is 6 by 9. So k1 is 6 by 9 is not possible, because your k, x, these are all integers. It can't be rational number. So the only solution is that k1 is 0. So if your k1 is 0, so that means phi of 1, because ultimately when you choose x equals to y equals to 1, so phi of 1 I assumed to be 3 times k1. That is what the assumption was. So phi of 1 is going to be 0, right? Now this is a contradiction. Why this is a contradiction?
Because ये 1 1 नहीं बना, phi 1 1 के लिए सिर्फ phi of 0 0 होता है.
Yeah, because we know that there are now, क्योंकि 0 will be obviously going to 0. वो तो एक रिंग होमोमॉर्फिज्म की प्रॉपर्टी है. 0 is always mapped to the 0. और जिस रिंग्स को हम डील कर रहे हैं, जिस रिंग्स के साथ 2z और 3z, हमें पता है दोनों का जो एडिटिव आइडेंटिटी है 0 ही है. So 0 is going to 0 and 1 is also going to 0, right? So this is a contradiction, because phi is आइसोमॉर्फिज्म. हमने अज्यूम किया था कि फाई आइसोमॉर्फिज्म है. सो दिस इज कॉन्ट्रडिक्शन, because it is giving us the information that phi is not 1 1, right? So yeah, you got a contradiction, therefore proved.
मैम phi of 1 कैसे है?
Because हमने phi of x को अज्यूम किया था ना. I just put x equals to y equals to 1. This
मैम
was
phi of 2x था.
2 ले लो, टेक इट 2.
1 तो बनेगा ही नहीं ना, 2z के सेट में 1 तो आएगा ही नहीं.
ओके, 1 नहीं होगा, ठीक है. 2, लेट्स टेक इट 2. Let me write it like 2. Yeah, it should be 2x. Is it fine now?
Yes, ma'am.
So it is proved. Yeah, whatever we wanted to prove. We wanted to prove that 2z is not isomorphic to 3z. Means we suppose there exists a map defined by this, which is, let me just write, defined by this, which is isomorphism. So ये हमारा assumption था. We led at a contradiction. So we just proved that. Hence proved that 2z is not isomorphic to 3z, right? So similarly, we can have the next question. Is 2z isomorphic to 4z? Yes. What are your points on this? Is 2z going to be isomorphic to 4z? On the similar lines, you can think about it, right? So I am giving it to you. I'll put this in the assignment, right? So this I'll put this question as a part of the assignment. So you try as a part of the assignment, and then we will discuss in the tutorial. What is this? I'm telling you the answer. The answer is no. It is not an isomorphism, right? They are not isomorphic. 2z is not isomorphic to 4z. On the similar lines, you have to think, and you will be able to get the proof of it, right? So you do it yourself. Right. So now let's talk about the general result. So what is the generalization of this result? These two examples I have taken, 2z, 3z, 2z, 4z. What was the, how the second example was different from the first example? Yes. Can anybody tell? How was the second example different from the first example?
सेकंड में डिवाइजर्स आ रहे हैं उसके.
हाँ, बिकॉज 4z जो है 2z में कंटेन्ड है, राइट? वैसे तो देखो लॉजिकली यहीं से पता चल रहा है, क्योंकि 4z जो 2z में कंटेन्ड है, तो उनमें कभी भी एक सर्जेक्टिव मैप या बाइजेक्टिव मैप एग्जिस्ट नहीं कर सकता है, बिकॉज द नंबर ऑफ एलिमेंट्स, इफ यू से एक्चुअली इनफाइनाइट रिंग्स में हम नंबर ऑफ एलिमेंट्स की बात नहीं करते हैं, तो ये वाली जो एक्सप्लेनेशन है कि नंबर ऑफ एलिमेंट्स दोनों में अलग अलग होंगे, that is not a valid argument, because both are infinite. It is just you can show that the map is not bijective. So you try this and you will get to know how to prove this one. And so the result, the general result is actually that you show that there is no isomorphism. Let me just give you the exact statement. Yeah, show that if m and n are distinct positive integers, then mz is not isomorphic to nz, right? So if you want to prove this it in general, then also you have to follow the similar lines. So I'm just going to give you the proof of this one. So on the similar lines, you can think that suppose there exists a, suppose now this is in general, means for any different 2m and n, 2z, 4z, 2z, 3z, 5z, 6z, whatever, if they are different, they're not going to be isomorphic. So suppose there exists phi from mz to nz with phi of m is equal to nz. Now this is a way to define that whatever the number turns out to be, whatever the number is there, which is phi of m, because mz will contain what kind of elements? M into x. So if I am just giving you the mapping of m, so obviously that will be multiplied. So if you know where m is going, because m belongs to mz, so all of you can see where m times some number is going, right? So it is simply be going to the multiple of that number. So n x z. So that will be simply multiplied. So that will be the generalization of this map. But I just need to give you where m is going. The other one is simply going to be multiplied with the same. Z. Z is some integer. Z belongs to some integer. Right. So if you take now n square z square, if you consider n square z square, what is this? This is phi of m whole square, because I have given you the m is being mapped to n times some number. So what is phi of m square? So this can be phi of m into phi of m, and this is phi of m into m, right? And this further can be written like the one of the m's I am breaking like 1 plus 1 plus 1. So this is phi m plus m plus m. This is m times. So this is m times phi of m. So this is m times n of z, because phi of m is n of z. So what did you get from there is n square z square is m n z. So you will get m is equal to nz. I can do that because I'm in integers, right? I know there is there are no zero divisors, so the cancellation law holds. If you remember the results of integral domain, that in the integral domain the cancellation law holds. So nz gets cancelled. I will get this. So this implies what? So this is a contradiction if n does not divide m, or what you could do in the beginning, you could take it here, case number 1, that let n does not divide m, because there has to be some relation between n and m. As I gave you two examples, 2z, 3z, 2z, 4z. In one of them, 2 was divisor of 4, but in other case example, 2 was not divisor of 3. So one of them is going to be either divisor of the other, or they are not going to be dividing each other. So first case, if you have assumed that n does not divide m, so with this expression, as you can see, m is turning out to be a multiple of n. So this is a contradiction to the fact that n does not divide m. So that means for this case, our result is proved that when n does not divide m, we cannot have a isomorphism, because we just shown by this way, right? And similarly, for the other cases which will be, suppose one of them is a divisor of other. Suppose n divides m. In this case, we know that what is going to happen? Since mz is going to be contained in nz, and that is always going to be a proper subset, right? One minute. I just need to take a call. One minute. Yeah, I'm back here. So when n is dividing m, as you know the example, 4z is contained in 2z, it's a proper subset. So this implies there will exist some, you can say, y belonging to nz, such that y does not belongs to mz. So there will be always some extra elements in nz, right? So therefore there does not exist a surjective, which is onto map between mz and nz. So that's a simple logic which is clear, which I just explained to you even when I was telling you how to deal with the example 4z and 2z, that you just show that there are always extra elements in 2z. There are infinitely many extra elements in 2z. So there cannot exist a onto map. There cannot exist a surjective map between them, and means actually with the along with the 1 1 property. 1 1 is not required even if you show one of them is there, so that is okay. So that's it. Hence there cannot exist an isomorphism between nz and mz, hence proved. So for this case it is just like the explanation only. Is that fine? Is that okay? Is it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so this is a general result now, you know, for like, I'll give you any two random rings of these integers, so they are not going to be isomorphic to each other. We have just proved it in general. So moving to the next example, or you can say result. So you have to answer this, whether R is isomorphic to complex? The field. So we are talking about their rings, okay, but particularly they are fields, but we just need to use the property of ring isomorphism. Yeah, so tell me whether the real numbers, the set of real numbers, is that set of real numbers, is that isomorphic to the set of complex numbers? Yes? Is it right? No. Why?
because R C का subset होता है.
Yeah. So one is this logic which you can use, and again if you want to give a general proof for the same, actually there are many ways to prove these results. You may find different ways of proving in different books also. So one way is actually connection with the polynomials. So जब हम polynomial rings का topic study करेंगे वहाँ पे आपको ये clear होगा. So that for the two rings to be isomorphic, so if you take an equation, both should have an equal number of roots in the fields. Like if I consider x square plus 1 is equal to 0, I know this has no solution in R, right? But has two solutions in complex. So the number of solutions of a given polynomial is different in both the rings. So that is sufficient to prove that they cannot be isomorphic to each other. But why that is working, so that comes from a result which we will do in polynomial rings, or maybe if we will be connecting there with the isomorphism. But this is also one of the way. And other way is I can give you the same way, that on the contrary you suppose. So you suppose there exists a map from C to R which is isomorphism, right? So let phi of 1 be some x, because 1 is there in complex number, right? So let image of 1 is x. So I have not defined a particular map. I have just assumed that suppose there exists isomorphism, then obviously the 1 will be mapped somewhere. So suppose 1 is mapped to x, then what will be phi 1 square? Phi 1 square will be phi 1 into phi 1, that will be x square, and phi 1 square is 1 obviously. So I'm just using that 1 is equal to 1 square. So I'm using the property of homomorphism and using it like this. So this two equations 1 and 2 gives me that x equals to x square. So this gives me two solution, x is equal to 0 or x equals to 1. Actually, I'm trying to know where the 1 is being mapped, although I can directly also use that 1 is being mapped to 1. But let's be a more general, that suppose it is mapped to some x, then I have these two possibilities. That number where 1 is mapped is either 0 or 1. Now, if x is 0, then where any complex number phi of z is going to be mapped, it is phi of z into 1, it is phi of z into phi of 1. Now phi of 1 is x and x I am assumed to be 0, so this is going to be 0, right? So that means every number, every complex number will be mapped to 0 if identity is mapped to 0. So that is true in fact for every map, for every homomorphism, or for any function, that if the identity is mapped to 0 element, then because every other element is just a multiple of the identity, it will also be mapped to 0. So that is a contradiction, because phi is 1 1, because I have assumed phi is isomorphism. So that means x cannot be 0. It implies x has to be 1, because there were two possibilities for x. When I put x equals to 0, I get a contradiction. So that means x is equal to 1. Therefore, phi of 1 is 1. Right. Now, phi of minus 1 will be minus 1, because we know that general result. What is the property? Phi of nx is n phi x. For any homomorphism, the whatever scalar it is being multiplied with, that comes outside. So whatever integer. So n is integer. So -1 is there as an integer. So minus comes outside. So phi of 1 is 1. It implies phi of -1 is -1. Right. So phi of iota square is equal to phi of -1 is equal to -1, right? And so, okay, let me just write it like this. Suppose phi of iota is some number. Means I'm trying to now give you a reason to believe that okay, every number is having an image, because that's how functions should be. Phi is defined from C to R. So C में जो element है हमारा complex number iota, वो भी कहीं ना कहीं mapped होगा. So suppose phi of iota is being mapped to A. Then in that case, what is A square? Now A क्या होगा? Real में होगा, because आपका phi C to R है. Now if you consider A square, so this is going to be phi of iota square. Firstly, it will be phi of iota whole square, but then you know the property of isomorphism, homomorphism. This square can come inside. So this is -1. It implies there exists some A in reals such that A square is -1. So that is also not possible. We know that there is no real number whose square is -1. So hence proved. What did we just prove? That there does not exist any isomorphism between the field of complex and the field of reals. Yes, is that clear to all? Is it clear to everybody?
Yes, ma'am.
We could shorten the proof just directly by starting from here only, from this point only, by saying that every homomorphism maps identity to identity. So both the identities of both are same. One is the multiplicative identity of C as well as R. So we could directly start from this point onwards and just do the proof. But this was something more general, that even if you don't want to use the direct property of homomorphism, so you can build it up this way. Yeah, so these are the some examples we have done, and I'll make a separate assignment regarding including more questions of homomorphisms and isomorphisms and some questions of field of quotients. So that's all about this chapter. So in the next class, we will start with the next chapter, which is the polynomial rings. In fact, before polynomial rings, okay, I'll see what sequence to start with. Okay, and your test is scheduled on next Wednesday, this time, in the lecture time only, because I tried moving it somewhere else, but either I was getting it very late in the evening, so I didn't want that. So let's do it in the lecture class timings also. तो जो lecture का time extra हमारा use होगा, वो हम tutorial में adjust कर लेंगे. I'll cover that in the tutorial. Yeah, so it will be a 10 to 15 minutes test on LMS, and today I'll upload all the details of the topics and syllabus, और आपके जो notes हैं, they are in preparation. I will upload them by till today, all the notes, because you requested me to upload the lecture notes, so I'll do that. Is that fine with everyone?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
ma'am.
Okay, so today is 7th, so on 14th April, the same time 11:20 means I will see, हम देख लेंगे, पहले लेक्चर में पढ़ लेंगे, बाद में टेस्ट ले लेंगे, या जैसे भी वो एडजस्ट करना होगा, that I will see. Accordingly, I'll put the time and check LMS for the details. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody
Thank you.
wants to ask anything? कुछ डाउट है तो आप पूछ सकते हो, हमारे पास टाइम है अभी, बट टॉपिक नहीं है अभी डिस्कस करने के लिए, क्योंकि वो नया टॉपिक है. आई डोंट वांट टू स्टार्ट विद इट. इफ यू हैव एनी डाउट्स देन यू कैन आस्क. No doubts? Okay then, I'm stopping. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.